Hi, my name is Lene Fischer, work at University of Copenhagen. That's the place where we had the first QGIS user conference in Nødebo. This video is going to be about Model Designer. We are going to open a toolbox, look at model which is already made, look at scripts, open the Model Designer, model properties, name, group and save model, and describe toolbox with input and the toolbox. And we're going to create a simple model with input, create a buffer, output, and run a test. So at first, I'm going to show you how that will be done without the Model Designer. Here you can see I have a vector layer and I select some of the data and I'm going to run a buffer. And I choose the simple buffer like this here. It comes from this layer, which is the same as it's this out here. And I only wanted to use it for the selected features only. I make it on a distance 10 meters. I don't change any of this. Only I want to dissolve the result, which is going to be one buffer on all those lines. And I'm just going to make a temporary layer, so I press run and close. And you can see my output is a vector layer with polygons with one buffer. That's what we're going to do later. At first, we are going to open this processing toolbox. I simply press processing and open the toolbox here. And from this, you can see the Model Designer. But we're not going to look into the Model Designer yet. We are first going to see what the result of building a model, where it enters. And down here under models, you can see a variety of the models I've made. These here are put directly under the models. And these here are put into a group. So you can see I have different groups here from different years. But we're going to look into this one. That's a buffer. Here I can double click and you can see I can run a buffer, which says what is the width. This is in Danish, sorry. But the width here will be 10 meters. And this is a choose layer. And I choose the layer I have out here. And the result will be out here. Run. And it's finished. You can see here I had made a very simple buffer. I did not dissolve it, and I've made it on all the data which is in here. Okay, so I can choose here from the group from this called buffer, the model called buffer here. But now we're going to look into how this looks like. I can right click and choose edit model. This is a very simple model. I can say choose layers and here's buffer width. So this is input data. This is the algorithm buffer on the selected and this is an output. So very simple. I can run this again and you see I get the same here. I will close this. Aside from making models, we can also make script from a model, and that's exactly the same. So here you can see we can have a script, and I just need to move this here. Edit script, and script that it looks like this here. A lot of text, which I can run again. Now we start to go up here and create models. We're going to create a new model, and it opens a new window. Down here you see the model properties. What is the name? Simple buffer. And group, which what I'm going to call this here group. I'm going to give this here for lecture. So I'm making a new group called lecture. Now I want to save this here and choosing save model. It will be saved in my app data under a lot of places you normally don't go and see, but I'm going to save this here as a simple buffer. I choose save, and I will close this here again just to show you that now under models I will find a group called lecture, and I will have simple buffer. There's nothing in it. If I double click, there will happen totally nothing because I've not put anything inside the model. So I can again say edit model, and it will open again like this. I have two tabs down here. The one tab is all the input I can put into a model. Vector layer, I can put string, raster layer, point, number, a lot of things I can make input. And what we're going to do later is going to use the vector layer. But before we could do that, we're going to look into the toolbox. This toolbox here, which you see here, is the same toolbox as you can see from out here. The tools does not necessarily run in the same way, but it's the same tools. Let's start to make this simple buffer as we made before. As input, I have a vector layer, and I simply double click on vector layer. My description is here. Vector layer for buffers. Geometry type could in this case here be any, because I can make buffers on polygon, line, and point. So I could choose to do like this here, or I could just say any geometry type. Is the data mandatory to make this to make the buffer? Yes, that's mandatory. I can add comments. So if I'm going to build a model for someone else to use, the comments could be written in here. I press OK, and you see vector layers for buffers. Now I want to choose the toolbox. And in here, I can search the same ways as I did outside in the toolbox, processing toolbox, and I write buffer. And I get this buffer here and double click. Under this description, again, a buffer. The data I can choose here could either be a value, a pre-calculated value, a model input, this is a model input, or an algorithm output, but this is a model input. The distance, we just put it for 10 meters as we did before. And I want to make a dissolve, yes. Is in this tool you cannot choose only selected as I did before. So let's see what's happening when I just run this in a minute. And here I call the output, I call it buffer. Okay. So now you can see I have my input. I create a buffer, and actually I double click it, call it, so I can say 10 meter. So now I can see what is going to happen here. And I have a dissolved buffer here. Before I run it, I press save. So now I've saved this model, and I can run it like this. Vector layers for buffers. And I want to choose the lines. And I'm going to create the buffer. In this window, you can see what happens when you run the buffer, and you can see how long time it takes to run the buffer. I close here, and now I want to see the result here. And this here you can see I simply made a buffer on these data which was viewed in here, and they were dissolved. The first one was not dissolved, but the second one was dissolved.